Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and yeah, I think as you've seen this week, we are reviewing movies from the year 1988, and this works out pretty good for me because, excuse me, a little while back I was reviewing movies from the filmography of master auteur Tim Burton, and now that we're reviewing movies from 1988, this gives me a chance to review a movie of his I haven't had a chance to review, and that is Beetlejuice. Yeah, here we go. I got the nice, beautiful collector's edition, the 4K, designed like the book of the recently deceased, or handbook for the recently deceased. You open it up, and you got the 4K and stuff in there. So, but anyway, I mean, what can I say about this movie that really hasn't been said? And just really quick, I mean, of course, we all know what the story is. The story concerns the Maitlands, played by Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. Alec Baldwin before he would, start shooting people on movie sets. And so anyway, they play Barbara and what was it? Adam. Yeah, Adam and Barbara. And they're this, loving married couple, and they run a hardware store in a small town, and they're both deciding that they want to take a vacation, and their idea of a vacation is just to spend time at home and enjoy each other's company and have fun and just be together and indulge in their hobbies and things like this. And I mean, that's not a bad way to spend a vacation in my book. But unfortunately, it's not unfortunate that they live in this beautiful big house and everything, but sadly, they have this friend named Jane who is like trying very hard to get them to sell off their house, which they don't want to do. Well, at one point, they go to town, and they're driving across a bridge, and the car accidentally hits like the side of the bridge, and the car goes off into the lake or pond or whatever you want to call it, and they both drown. And so they get home, they realize slowly but surely they realize that they have died and that they're ghosts, and that now they're pretty much and now they're dead. They're trying to adjust to it. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and they find this handbook for the recently deceased, and they're slowly like finding out like how to deal with things and what's going on. And then they go into basically the nether world, and and I'll cut it short. I mean, we already know this movie. Eventually they come across this bioexorcist named Beetlejuice, or Beetle Guys, because this family, the Dietzes, they move into their house. You have the father, Charles, played by Jeffrey Jones, who unfortunately has gotten into some bad legal trouble. So, then there's what was the mother's name? Catherine O'Hara. What was her character's name in the movie? No, I can't remember her name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm wasting time. And then we got the daughter, Lydia Dees, who's played by Winona Ryder. And, Lydia is, she's goth, and she's very much into, death and all this other kind of stuff. And she's, always like, I want to die and all this other kind of stuff. And so anyway, they decide, both Adam and Barbara decide they don't want to live with these people. They want to get them out of their house. And so they enlist the help of Beetlejuice to try to help them get rid of them. But it turns out that, summoning Beetlejuice, played by, the excellent Michael Keaton, ends up being the absolute worst thing that they could have done. And so they decide that they want to try to, get these people out of the house on their own. But then you have, like Beetlejuice getting in there and kind of, putting a spanner in the works. And little bit by little bit, though, Adam and Barbara, they start to realize like they actually don't mind they don't mind the Dietzes so much, and that they want to try to but the only problem is though is like the mother, Catherine O'Hara's character's name. I can't remember her name, but she has this friend of hers named Otho who, ends up, once they find out that there are ghosts in the house and the ghosts are trying to chase him out, he decides he wants to try to make contact with the ghosts and everything. And, they decide to perform this ritual that is going to end up doing a lot of, harm to, Adam and Barbara. And then, of course, the only way, Lydia thinking that the only way she can help Adam and Barbara is to, call Beetlejuice and to have him come in and help out. But let's just say things don't go as they expect, and we'll leave it at that. And besides, I don't think I'm really telling you anything you don't already know. So, but this movie is definitely not going to be for everybody. I absolutely adore it. I don't know if you guys remember Grace, who done a couple of videos with me here a couple of years ago, back when we were dating. I remember the night that I showed her Beetlejuice for the first time. I don't know. I really not too sure exactly what she thought of it, if she really liked it or hated it or whatever. But, I was telling her, because she was younger than me. But I was telling her about the experience I had seeing this in a movie theater, and in 1988, like this was such a game changer. This movie was so different. It was so original. Nobody had ever seen anything like this. And I mean, this really really the only movie that, Tim Burton had done before this was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And while that is a really good movie and stuff, I think a lot of people felt like, even though it was later revealed, like Tim Burton was, a lot of his imagination went into that movie as well. But I think at the time, a lot of people felt like it was just Paul Rubens, letting his imagination become unleashed. And then when we saw this, you saw the inner workings of Tim Burton's head come to life on screen. And that's when everybody knew that this guy was a force to be reckoned with. This guy was a filmmaker who, definitely has a distinct voice. He has a distinct style, which he would go on for decades upon, decades to show everybody and to keep doing things that are unique and original and things like this. And, I was telling her about that. It was amazing walking out of the theater in 1988 after seeing this movie and just being so mesmerized and blown away by seeing something like this, something nobody had ever seen before, to see such an amazing amount of crazy imagination and everything going into a film, and especially a big studio film like this. This is, Warner Brothers, obviously, but to see so much imagination come out in a film like this, and it was so unique. It was such a, it was just, it was so, just breathtaking at the time that this came out. And, I think now it's probably, maybe not as, I think now probably people look at it as just kind of but that's the thing though too. If you've seen, numbers of Tim Burton films, you kind of come to understand that, we're kind of used to it by now. But like I said, this was an amazing, amazing thing to go see in the theater. There are plenty of horror elements, but the movie is very much more of a comedy. Michael Keaton just, he's not in the movie particularly a lot, but when he's there, he definitely steals the show. Alec Baldwin, he's, decent. He's just kind of there. Gina Davis, Gina Davis was one of those actresses back in the 80s. She was always welcome. Whenever Gina Davis was in a movie in the 1980s, you were happy to see her, no matter what it was, whether it's The Fly or Beetlejuice or Transylvania 65000, whatever. You were happy to see Gina Davis in a movie, Catherine O'Hara, is like, this was really the movie that would introduce me to her. Of course, at the time I hadn't seen her on SCTV or anything like that, but of course later on she would definitely become very, very famous for, being the voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas, but even more famous as playing the mom, in Home Alone 1 and 2. But, and then of course Winona Ryder, who was young at the time and went on to have a pretty good career, but then she unfortunately had a setback, and then, she was out of the picture for a while, but started getting, started getting her footing again, as playing Joyce on Stranger Things, so she's starting to get her career back on track. And I already talked about Jeffrey Jones. Funny thing to note is like, now that I'm doing this, it's funny because today's the day that, talking about Michael Keaton, today's the day The Flash is coming out in the theater, and pretty much everybody's already said the main reason you're going to want to go see The Flash is to see Michael Keaton play Batman again. And after doing this movie, this was the movie that got Tim Burton to say, you know who I think would be perfect for Batman? Michael Keaton, And so we got that. And, as we speak, if the rumors are to be believed, right now Tim Burton is directing Beetlejuice 2, and Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara are the only returning cast members, from my understanding. Jen Ortega, who Burton just worked with on Wednesday, and the two of them may start, strike up a long working relationship, which fine by me. But Jen Ortega is supposed to be playing Winona Ryder's daughter. I think Willem Dafoe is supposed to be playing like either a ghost or a demon in it. But anyway, so if the rumors are to be believed, here before too long, we can finally look into Beetlejuice 2. But I'll believe it when I see it, because the problem is they mentioned that there was going to be a sequel to this right after this movie came out. So I've been hearing about a sequel to Beetlejuice for, 35 years going on now. I've been hearing about we were going to get a sequel to Beetlejuice. So at this point, I'll believe it when I see it. But as for right now, but still, like I said, I think for some people, this it's not going to be for everybody's taste. But I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it. I think you might too. But yeah, I mean, like I said, some people, I know some people they don't really want comedy with their horror, and stuff. And, I think for some people, this movie might just be a little too far out. But, everything in this movie works, it's like, to me it does, and Danny Elfman's score, the performances, the visual style, all this other kind of stuff. And like I said, the special effects, the practical effects, not to mention a lot of the fun stop motion animation going into this, and just, oh man, like this movie it's just a treat visually, audibly, if that's even a word. But yeah, I definitely recommend Beetlejuice, so I just have a little fun. And it's nice, it was like, I was irritated because I wasn't able to review this when I was doing the Tim Burton movies, but now that we were doing movies from 1988, this gives me the chance to finally get around to it. So happy to get this one off the list. So that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, would you please leave it a like? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer, and everybody's doing a wonderful job, and I'm really, really lucky to be in this group of, wonderful guys. Everybody's doing great, and more fun theme weeks are coming up, and year weeks and label weeks and all kinds of good stuff. So everybody, please, come on back. So that's it, everybody. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.